Thank you for listening to this worship podcast of St. Andrew Lutheran Church. We hope this recording provides you with a moment of God's grace wherever this finds you. Know that you're welcome to join us in person for worship in Eden Prairie on Sunday mornings at 9 or 10:30. And also know that any contribution you make will bolster St. Andrew's ministry and outreach, including our podcasting directly to you. You can do so online. Welcome and God's blessings to you.
Hello, I'm Caleb, your host of the Wednesday Night Youth Group podcast, and this is our high school leadership team here at St. Andrew.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm a senior at Eden Prairie High School.
Hi, I'm Ella, and I'm also a senior at Eden Prairie High School. I'm Lynn. I'm a senior at Minnetonka High School.
I'm Kate. I'm also a senior at Minnetonka High School.
I'm Lily, and I'm a junior at Eden Prairie High School.
Each month, we take a time to focus on helping our community or helping the bigger parts of our community. This month, we focused on fundraising for the hurricane relief, and all of our money will be donated and going to Lutheran services. We have raised quite a bit of money, and we're excited to talk about it today. But first, we're going to talk about what's been going on at Wednesday Night Youth Group. And so I'll ask the questions to the rest of my hosts is, what is something that you've talked about in Wednesday Night Youth Group that you really enjoyed, or an activity that we did?
I think a lot of the time we talk about how important questions and questioning our faith is. And I think that that's been really helpful for me because as someone who questions her faith a lot, I have found a lot of comfort in knowing that being Lutheran isn't about being sure about the Bible and being completely confident and knowing all the answers. So that's been great for me.
Yeah, thank you. Is anybody else?
Another thing that I've really enjoyed is we have like speakers come in or people from like certain professions just to talk to us, which I think is really great.
Well, we'll also go over, and one thing we're going to do in this podcast each time, and I hope you as a listener is also doing this, is recognizing God moments. So I'll give each of our other hosts a chance to talk about a God moment that they've had this month.
One of my God moments from this month is I've had like mornings to myself after I've been at the gym, and I just like sit in my car and I eat my breakfast and like watch the sunrise, and I listen to this playlist that I have.
I lead a confirmation group with Lynn, and there's been a couple times where we have really good conversations, and our seventh graders are really engaged in the conversation, really prove that they're paying attention. And that's a God moment to me, just because they don't always seem like they're the like seventh grade boys are the type of people to really engage in their faith. And so when there's those moments where you have them answering questions and asking questions, it's really great.
Yeah, I know what it's like trying to get people to listen, and it can be definitely hard.
My God moment for this month is I teach dance at my dance studio, and our dance studio is like a faith-based studio. And it's been really cool to see like the younger dancers like starting to connect like their faith into dancing. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about dancing at my studio. So I think it's just been a cool God moment to see that happen for the younger girls.
My God moment from this month was I was driving in my car and I was listening to like a playlist me and my friends from Wednesday Night Youth Group made, and there was this one song that came on which kind of just like resonated with what I was going through, and it just felt like a message.
My God moment for this month is just I feel like I've been making a lot of deeper connections with people rather than just having surface level friendships, and I feel like God really played a role in that.
Yeah. And it's always good that we take pauses and recognize that God is with us at any moment. So it's fun to kind of reflect on those God moments together. My God moment this month is just I had one day I just was real tired. I woke up a little late to work. Don't tell my boss, Peter. You guys might know him. But I woke up a little late, but at the end of the day, the thing that kind of got me through is knowing that at the end of the day, I get to see my dog. And so I just enjoy really seeing my dog and having those pauses in those moments. We'll switch a little bit and we'll focus on our fundraising efforts. And what did you guys specifically learn about fundraising?
I learned how intimidating it is to talk to people and ask for money, just because that can be a really maybe sensitive topic for people. And so the asking for money was something I wasn't really used to, even though it's a good cause and I knew I wasn't burdening people. It was kind of an interesting dynamic to ask people to donate.
Oh, yeah. Did anyone else have something they learned about fundraising?
I learned how hard it is to like plan a lot of things at the same time and like try and figure it out with each person's schedule, just like who could go to what, and like planning the social media posts, like when are we gonna post them and stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you guys find any joy in fundraising? What was any moments that really brought you joy when you were trying to fundraise?
I really love it when, and this is, yeah, I really love it when people are really interested in it and come up and, like, this happened at Trunk or Treat. There were a couple moms that would come up and ask questions about it or just say, like, oh, this is so great that you guys are doing this. And just, I think other people finding joy and finding hope in the things that we do brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Did anyone else have any joy moments from it?
Me and Lily spoke in church on a Sunday just talking about like what we were doing, and we had like multiple people come up to us and tell us like thank you for doing what you're doing, and like someone said that they had like family in Florida, so I don't know, it just means more when like you know that you're helping people.
Yeah. I mean, what do you have to say when there's older generations or people go that and they say high schoolers just don't care like they used to anymore? What kind of thoughts do you have on those?
I feel like it's not really cool for our generation to care. I think partially that's because of social media. I think we have a lot of pressure with performing and making sure that people like us. I think being favored by your peers is really, really important to our generation. And so when someone cares too much or not enough, then I think there's a lot of insecurity with that. So when you care about something that's vulnerable and that's a way for people to criticize you, which is easy to do when we have so much access to social media.
Yeah.
I feel like also with social media, it can just be so harsh. So if you're being like vulnerable and you're talking about a topic that not everyone might agree with, it can be risky because you could risk being judged by peers and even strangers online, and that can be really scary for some people.
Yeah, I would say like adding on to that, especially just with so many like the culture, I feel like it's so hard to like know like what you can say, and like obviously no one ever wants to like say anything too far or like offend anyone. So I feel like sometimes people are just like hyper like focused on like making sure they don't say the wrong thing. And so then I think like because of that, like Len was saying, like people even if they really do care about something, sometimes they will like hold back from like showing that they care about it just so that like people don't think differently of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and my experience working with you guys is that I saw you really care about this, and I saw you really take I mean, people are giving me credit for something I really feel like I just said, here's a Google form, and then you guys really joined and you took over. And so as someone that's from an older generation or someone that doesn't have the most hasn't spent the most time with your guys' age. It's very interesting to see that and also hear that you guys are told that you don't care about a lot of things. So I think it's a very fun way to continue the conversation. But more on kind of how other generations view you. So what do you think it would take from other generations to feel like they understand you more?
I think one of the ways that like other generations can kind of just like I think like just letting us make a mistake like and let us go through the process of okay, this didn't work, what can I do instead of this to make this work, and like just like let us have that learning process and like watch us fail almost so we can learn from that failure and just like grow from it.
I think also just giving us some like reassurance when we do something like well. So like going back to when we spoke in church and some like people would come up to us, like it was very reassuring that like we are helping people and we're doing something right.
I think also giving us the benefit of the doubt that we are trying and we are trying to figure things out, because I think that a lot of older generations don't have faith that we care about things and that we don't do things, and then when we're met with criticism right off the bat, then it discourages us, like Lily and Lauren were saying. It discourages us from doing good and from being vocal.
And I think like going back to the previous question about like why older generations think we don't care, I think sometimes it can also be linked to that, like people get criticism and then they think like, okay, then this isn't worth my time to like care about this. So kind of adding on to Lauren, like I just think positive like reassurance and like feedback is like so helpful because it makes people feel like what they're doing is like meaningful and like makes a difference.
I feel like now there's also kind of more pressure on us. Like, if we make a mistake, it's on display for everyone to see. Unlike with other generations, where if they made a mistake, not everyone will know unless they explicitly tell everyone. And that can be difficult because I feel like some older generations just don't realize that maybe they did make the same mistakes. It's just that it wasn't like televised or told about to anyone,
Yeah. And it's important that as people and as followers of God that we always communicate these things. I think the hardest part about doing any of this is that we sometimes don't tell others that it hurts us, or sometimes we don't voice that we need the reassurance. You know, it can go. Everything goes all ways. So it's always good to have those reflection moments. And so, St. Andrew has been working on a vision statement. And have any of you ever heard of a vision statement?
No.
No. A vision statement is just how we plan and how we do. It's a short sentence, and it's just a way to how we choose to plan for the future. So St. Andrew Lutheran Church new vision statement is: rooted in Christ, we nurture the future of faith by cultivating a beloved community, encouraging faithful curiosity, and equipping all as servant leaders. So let's visit that first little bulletin, cultivating a beloved community. How have you felt that St. Andrew has made a beloved community? Or what are some ways that St. Andrew should work on being a beloved community?
I think from my perspective, I've gone to this church my entire life, as long as I can remember. I feel like I am pretty close with all of the pastors, a lot of the leaders, and I am pretty immersed in the community here. And so I think that from my perspective, we've done a pretty good job of cultivating a beloved community and making sure everyone feels welcome and wanted here. But I think that to improve could be like making sure and I don't know specifically things that the church does for new members or for people that visit, but I think just making sure that there's a really intentional reach out for people that are interested in joining the church and for people who are new to the church, just so that we make sure people feel loved in a maybe foreign environment.
I also grew up in the church, and I did spend a lot of my younger years in the church, but for the previous 2 years I've been very busy, so I haven't really been able to go to youth group, or even Sunday services have been difficult for me to make. But this year I've put a lot less on my plate, so I've been able to attend youth group and stuff, and I just feel like I was really quickly invited back into the community. I've always been here.
I think just the relationships that I've been able to build here are just so good. Like a confirmation leader I had when I was in 7th and 8th grade, she me and Lauren are still in contact with her, and she's just always so happy to see us, and just those relationships that I don't think I would have gotten anywhere else, and the connections, and I've just learned so much from that.
I also think they especially on Wednesday nights, there's something for everyone to do. It's not just a certain age group. You could come and find something that you enjoy, or the Bible studies they have.
I think one of the ways that I think of is in services, how they do the before you go events. They talk about what is going on in church, or even I don't even know what it's called, but they talk about what's going on in someone's life that they might need help with, and I feel like that just kind of helps us have such a close community, because people are made aware of what's actually going on in other people's lives and like what's happening around church.
Yeah. And so moving on to the next one, what do you think when they're saying encouraging faithful curiosity? What's faithful curiosity? What do you think that means?
I think to me that means discussing my faith with peers who also believe in Christ or even who don't believe in Christ. I think it really expands my knowledge and beliefs. And although sometimes it might diminish them or make me question them, I feel like eventually my faith grows and becomes even stronger than it did before.
I think like having the space for people to ask questions and have questions asked to them about their faith. And I mean, like we do that at WNYG all the time, but it's also like it's kind of like a two-way street. Like you have to ask questions about your faith to have questions asked for your faith to like continue to have the curiosity with it.
I think also just with curiosity in general, I think it's important to make it known that all age groups are allowed to be curious about their faith and be questioning with their faith, because I think we do a great job in youth group, like Lily said, where we're encouraged to question our faith and really immerse ourselves in the parts that we don't know or that we're curious about. But I think that message can also be extended to older generations or to young adults, just people who maybe assume that they should have their faith figured out and don't need to.
I think also like St. Andrew does a really good job with like giving us the opportunity to like take those like that curiosity like just beyond the church. So, like going to Spirit in the Pines, I think is a way that a lot of people that are like maybe curious about growing their faith or getting closer to God, like that's the thing that a lot of people enjoy. And then also like the youth gathering and like service trips and just like other things that like go beyond just like the church. I think those are all like really good opportunities for that.
Yeah. And I anyone that's listening, I want you to know too, the important part is that the part that makes this faithful curiosity so easy in Wednesday youth group or when we meet as a high school leadership team is because of our team and how people interact with each other here. As a longtime member of St. Andrew, as someone that also went to youth group growing up and went to camp and everything, I know that St. Andrew has always done a really good job of building a really faithful community and building a community built on curiosity. And the last one is equipping all as servant leaders. So, what do you guys think that means when you hear equipping all as servant leaders?
I think that reflects a lot of our church's kind of motto of like living out your faith in daily life, of just making sure that everyone understands that being a Lutheran doesn't just mean believing in God and believing in your faith, but also helping others and living out love thy neighbor and being generous towards your community. I think that being Lutheran means obviously loving people in all senses of the word. So just I think partially what Ella said with like the opportunities of experiencing your faith outside of the church is really important. So the church providing those opportunities is really great with that. And then also just like I'm losing my train of thought. That's all I got.
It's all right. It's all right. Anybody else want to add on? Go ahead, Lily.
I think one of the like ideas that we talk a lot about in youth group is like sharing your story and like actually talking about your faith instead of just like growing in it, but also sharing what you've learned with other people. And I think that is kind of like what this is answering. I feel like to be a leader in your faith and like talk about it with other people and like not just keep your story to yourself.
And the hard part about any vision statement, and like I said, this is probably maybe the first time you've read or heard of a vision statement of any some sort. Companies do vision statement, not just churches, but everyone usually has a vision statement, and it's making sure that the vision statement continues on and is always referenced and is understood by everyone. And so, what do you think when you hear our vision statement again, like cultivating a beloved community, encouraging faithful curiosity, equipping all servant leaders? We're going to do that rooted in Christ. So, let me read it one more time. Rooted in Christ, we nurture the future of faith by cultivating a beloved community, encouraging faithful curiosity, equipping all as servant leaders. What do you think that first part really means to you? And I think it's kind of the key to our vision statement is rooted in Christ, we nurture the future of faith.
I think it means that we're like rooted in Christ always, but we're open to changing and like developing as a community, whether that's like opening up to new ideas we have or like finding new ways to practice our faith. Like even though we're changing, we're still rooted in Christ.
I think just also the phrase of being rooted in Christ kind of alludes to the message of like Christ is almost your home base, your faith is your home base, and you go out and you live your life with your faith in your heart and showing people what that looks like.
And kind of the wrap up, the last bit of our Wednesday night podcast is that I want the listeners to get advice from you guys. So the idea of this is that you guys are all going to give advice, okay? And it's very simple of how do you turn your day around when you're having a bad day? What do you guys do?
I would say I usually think of like the phrase like you wouldn't know how good your good days are without the bad days, and I don't know. I feel like thinking of phrases always helps me, so I just try and kind of focus on that and like do something fun that makes me happy.
I would say like whenever I'm having a bad day, I try to distract myself from whatever like thing is making my day bad and just like take some time to like intentionally spend time with like friends or family or just something to like get my mind off of what's going on just for like a few hours.
When I have a bad day, I like to try to ground myself, like spend some time with myself and just, watch an episode of my favorite show or listen to my favorite podcast or my playlist, just whatever.
Most of my bad days, I think, are rooted in the anxiety and hecticness of it. So for me, finding a moment of stillness or creating that moment of stillness where I can just really reframe my mentality and try to look at the day in a not so awful way.
For me, I always go back to like where I feel closer to God. So whether that's like with my dog or in my car listening to music or even like writing really just helps me like understand why my day was bad and then like moving past it, understanding like what happened and how I can like learn from that and like take away from it.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first. We got kids with advice and with real life experience sharing. Next month, we will be focusing on a brand new cause. We hope to have it up in front of the congregation and ready for ears later, just at the first couple weeks of November. We do have a couple sponsors to thank. I forgot. First one is sponsored. Wednesday Night Pot Youth Group is sponsored by Jesus. Can I get a follow back? The next sponsor we have is Church Seats. Hey, don't be afraid to sit on me. I thought those were pretty good sponsors. No?
Those are really great.
Well, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Wednesday Night Podcast is over and out.
Thank you for listening to this worship podcast of St. Andrew Lutheran Church. We hope that this recording provides you with a moment of God's grace wherever this finds you. Any contribution you make to St. Andrew will bolster our ministry and outreach, including our podcasting directly to you. You can do so online. Thank you for joining us for this podcast, and I wish you every blessing from Christ today.